Hey, Fizzy Busy, how's it going? Sounds good to me. Ooh. Nice, what you learning? Platforms, very exciting. Cooking up something tasty. So I was given an ingenious new solution for my save load system, but whether I can make it compatible with some of this other stuff, I don't know. The reason we have to do this thing in particular is because you can't just save a function. There might be some other way to do this, but obviously I wasn't aware of it at the time, so I convert the state into a string, and then depending what that string is, I set the state back to the appropriate function. And that's not really compatible with the potentially much better method of loading that we could use, because I have this ridiculous script here with all of these if statements that check the type of object that we're loading, right, and then do different specific stuff depending on the type of object that we're loading. But for just the basics, just loading the stuff, like just loading a variable, we don't need to do that. We can build one thing that just loops through and, well, I'm kind of forgetting the specifics of it now. Okay, so we can loop through everything and just create the instance based on the type of instance that was saved. And then we convert the struct to an array, and then we loop through the array and reassign all of the variables that way. And then that's like a universal thing that can load anything, except for when we have to do some specific there's times when I'm doing stuff that is still specific. That's, yeah. Yeah. There's certain objects where I do extra stuff, and it is dependent on the specific object type that we're loading. And I don't know, like, trying to think, is there a way to get around that? You know, the vast majority of it is just loading variables back in, which would be perfectly handled by that solution. But then a few of these do some other stuff. Yeah, maybe we can just... We can load most of it that way and then have some additional handling for specific types of objects. And it may just be, it will be necessary to, well, you could possibly, depending on how many states there are, make a universal state reassignment function, as long as there aren't more than 128 states. It would be really useful if like I knew this stuff in the beginning, right? Because then I would be building with these limitations in mind. But this is specifically a limitation of the YYC compiler. It's not a problem when compiling with virtual machine. But I need to be able to use the YYC compiler to, like, release the game, essentially. Like, it has to be compiled that way because it performs so much better. Oh, the whole point of this is to get the performance increase. It's just messy. It's messy and nightmarish. Why can't we just have some elegant solution? Well, maybe it's possible, I don't know. Maybe there's something I don't know. Again. Yeah, what about when I have to load the fucking tile map? And the navigation grid. You know, that's another specific... I mean, it's so much better. It is so much... It's what it drastically limits the amount of objects that we have to check for instead of having to check for every object. Down to like not very many objects. Okay. If I don't do something about this, then every time I add a new creature to the game, I have to make like a new custom function for loading that creature's state. Unless, I mean, I think it might just be possible. I don't know. Maybe not, because the humans have like 70 odd states themselves. And while some of them will share, will be, it's not exactly the same function, but it shares the same name as a function that an animal has as well. So in that sense, some of them are shared. But there are probably enough unique functions on the animals as well that the combined total would exceed 128. So we wouldn't be able to do one single, unless you broke it down further. That's what I was talking about before. We need multiple functions within a function. We'd need one function that is like the state reassignment function or something, and then that function would need to be full of functions, one for each creature. That doesn't help though. That doesn't help. It seems like the best I could do is break it into the 6 creature types, my 6 major archetypes. But then the thing is, I'd have to be careful to never create a new function in a creature, and that may be necessary. There may be some new creature that gets added to the game that has some sort of new behavior or something. At this stage, I can't guarantee that I'll never want to add a new. I mean, it would still limit the amount of work, but I'd still have to remember, like, what would be really nice, obviously, is just something that, like, adapts to whatever we throw at it. Basically, that's the ideal. Some stuff doesn't have to be done here. That's true. Although it is the ideal place to do it, I suppose. Yeah, I mean, it's like, where else would you do it? So my other option, and this was the original thought that I had, it still doesn't solve any of these issues. It's what does it solve? Not much, actually. No, it's not, and it's more work. So my best option is to write some sort of universal loading thing that can load as much of it as possible, and then have a little bit of specific stuff for handling specifics. I'm pretty sure that's it. So most of it, everything would be just loaded with this magical thing that loads everything, but there would still need to be some checks, like if the thing that we're loading is a tracker object tracker, then we need something to assign the icons back to the hotbar. It's gonna be a lot less still, even though we still have to do a bit of that stuff. I just need to think about the best way of structuring that, I suppose, because this in and of itself is fucking insane. So that needs to be its own function. We probably need some sort of an additional function that is like the additional specifics function or something. I don't know what you would call it. And then you pass in the object type into that function, and then that function is full of other functions. then you pass in the object type into those functions, and then whichever one is a match, like inside of there would be the the human state reassignment function, a state reassignment function for all the different types of animals. Wait, how does that? Yeah, it does work. I'm pretty sure it does work. Yeah. We don't have any plans to add too many more states. There's like, what, 70 odd? 78, or I can't remember, rounded up to 80. It gives us an extra 47. We could add up to 47 extra functions to the humans without exceeding that limit. The animals are fine because they have a lot less states. I can't see myself adding 47 extra functions, I mean states. And then probably when this is fixed, then we'll have the same problem with the state condition script. And then I'll have to break this into individual functions, which is the original method that I was thinking about for the load code. So this would be like, I don't know, we'd probably group those together or something. This is like the hunting party function, and then we have the available carpenters function, the build function, and then we would have a function for every, well, everything is in state idle. It's kind of, yeah. So it would be like state, if state equals state idle, and then this one would be a function, this would become the drowning function. All of this would be in one. This, I can tell you already, we've probably hit like 128 fucking if statements already by this point, and I'm barely, look how long this thing is. It's definitely not going to compile, is it? So I have to break it into like 1,000 different functions. No single function can have more than 128 like statements inside of it. So this is my life for the next 7 months. Okay, probably won't take that long, but it's going to take a long time. That's a lot more straightforward. It's just time consuming. This one is more confusing, but still probably doable. Don't know why we have these temporary variables here. It's something... I don't think I'm even using them for anything. I'm not even using these. What are these? Oh my god. Do I just delete those? Is that gonna break everything? I'm scared. I mean, the temporary variables, I can't be using them for anything outside of this function, so if I'm not using them in here, I'm not using them anywhere. Yeah, this is absolutely insane. Unhinged. I mean, I didn't know. I had no idea there was a limit on how many statements I could have in a block. I think that's the term. Oh, okay. Maybe I should write out a plan in pseudocode, because I don't know if I'll even get through this tonight. I'm more just like figuring out the plan of action. I mean, obviously I won't get through all of it tonight. It will take days, but I'm talking about just the first bit of refactoring the save the the loading code. I mean, and just the first bit of that, not even all of that. Oh, that's the good stuff. H2O, baby. Yeah. Yep. So we would put like it would live like here, and it would be like, what would how's this go again? Oh my god. We I'm pretty sure the first thing I want to do is create the instance, and we want to store it in a temporary variable. Let's just call it like that. Instance create, and we just do exactly the same thing as this. What? How many brackets do I need here? There we go. So we create the instance and we store it in a temporary variable. And then okay, then we need to do another temporary variable, which is going to contain an array. And what's this function called again? Oh, Jesus Christ, I had it, it was, what is it? God damn it. There's something that allows us to turn a struct to convert the variables within the struct into an array. I've lost it. I'll never get out of this maze. There is variable struct get names. Keys equals variable struct get names underscore load entity, because that's our struct. So we have an array that contains all of the keys from the struct. That's these, x, y, depth, blah, blah, blah. Okay, and then we go with, just like we're doing a with down here with the instance create in it, but now we've already created the instance, because why? There's a reason. I swear there's a reason. Well, it will become clear what that reason is as I type this, hopefully, presumably, maybe. Because then we need to do a for loop and loop through all of those keys. We're gonna say for I. Is this going to be a problem because we're already in a for I? We need the next one. What do you typically use after I? J or something? J. We're not using J for anything, are we? J equals zero. J less than array length. Was it length? Length keys. J. It's fucking freezing today, dude. I thought it was supposed to be summer. What is going on? So we're going to loop through the array of keys like a legend. And okay, this is where we do we do something. What do we do here? Because we have the key. So this is with the instance. We're running this code on the instance. Okay, we need to do key. So now we're breaking it down to the individual key equals array get keys J. See what I'm saying? Right, so we have the key now, and then we want to do, how do we do this? What is that? Wait, oh, and then there's some sort of a function, actually, that we use, I believe. Maybe. Wait, what? I need to understand this. I need to understand this. Get names. It will be a string. Okay, it's a string. You pass in the struct reference to check, and each entry in the array will be a string of the variable names that the struct contains. So if I understand correctly, it's a string, which is exactly what we need because for variable instance set. Variable instance set underscore instance, right? Name, key, value, underscore load entity dot. Nope. Can't do that. Because it's a string. We need to do... Maybe there's another one, like variable get hash. No, variable instance get. What does that one do? Instance get. How does it work? Okay, you can put a string in this bad boy. What does it do? With this function, you can get the value from a given named variable. You supply the unique instance ID value, as well as the name of the variable to get the value of as a string. The function will return the value held by the variable or undefined if the variable does not exist. So we can use variable instance get underscore load entity. Nope. Yep. Nope. Yep. Dot. Not dot key, but the next field is key. Right. So the variable key on the instance will be set to the variable key on the load entity. And you can see that is just magical. This is like, how many lines of code? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 9 lines of code instead of this. Okay, there's still some stuff that needs handling for specifically, though. Assuming this even works. I mean, I've made a backup, don't worry, I can go through and hey, uncanny SN. Sorry, I didn't see there. Skip through videos seems relatively complicated. Why am I sticking with GameMaker with that complexity just to finish the project? I'm going to move on to a different engine for the next game, but I'm going to finish this game first. You know, I've learned a lot. There's probably more. There's plenty more I can still learn. And I'm just a fan of finishing things. And it would take too long to rebuild everything from the ground up in a different engine at this stage. Like, that would add years to the development process. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I have basically learned to program. I've basically learned to code on this project. I really didn't know very much at all when I started out. But yeah, obviously it would be faster to rebuild it all a second time because like I know what I'm doing a lot better. But it would still take at least a year to get back to the same point but in a different engine. So we're just going to finish this project. But that is yeah. Might as well make the most of it. I don't know. You know what I mean. You get it. So that does like all of this stuff for everything automatically, and it's just pure magic. And then there's some specific stuff like if we're loading a controller object, we also need to like rebuild the tile map, for example, as one sort of unique thing that is unique to this object. So probably the way to do it is make a function that is like the unique load handling function or something, which will do everything, and then within that function would be like many other functions, one of which would be like the load tile map function. And so we would pass in here, we probably we could do either really. We could pass in the load entity or we could pass in the instance. Doesn't really make any difference at this stage, does it? Does it make any difference? We might not even necessarily need to pass the whole thing in. No, we do. We almost certainly do, don't we? We should, we should, let's just pass in the instance, because the way that it's set up right now is, and I think they're all the same. It's not like this is based off of load entity dot tiles. It's tiles, so it's reading the one off of the instance which has just been set. So we'll pass in instance, and then this function will then pass instance into the functions that are inside it, and there'll be several of them. And then this load tile map function will load the tile map, and I need another one to load the navigation grid, which is what is it actually called? It's an MP grid, isn't it? Should we just call it load grid? There's nothing else called load grid, so it doesn't need to be that specific. Load grid. So I'm just going to build my little pseudocode thing here of all of the stuff we need, all the functions we need to make. This one, the spellbook icons function, assign. It's like assign spellbook icons, and it's the same. And then it'll be like states. Yeah, this is exactly the point Brewer was making recently, and it's such a good point, is that, like, obviously I built this save load system by following a YouTube tutorial. But the problem with, like, the problem with following YouTube tutorials is that it's like the blind leading the blind. There's like, it's basically just a bunch of people who have no idea what they're talking about trying to teach you how to make games. And the real information is like, you have to like go to school for it or something, And it's something Brewer's talking about addressing. He wants to make like a series of YouTube videos that will actually teach the fundamentals of programming so that, we can all be saved from this hell. Which would honestly be really good. Okay, there's a thing. Jesus Christ. And presumably that's like there for the others as well, including the humans. Jesus Christ. No, it's just these three. Oh my goodness. So, yeah. I'm not really using AI at all. It's very rare that I do. It's certainly a tool I could be making better use of. But it's often like, well, I mean, you can throw something really vague at it, I suppose. So yeah, that would work. Nice. Well, yeah, fortunately I've been getting a lot of help recently from the likes of Brewer and GrogDev and Tiny Devil and others whose names I'm forgetting at the moment. This is a really great community who have been really supportive and honestly, taken a lot of time to help me out, and I really appreciate it. So I have them to thank for much of this. What is it? It's just on fire equals true. Okay. You've got to kind of wonder, if we have a burning state in the state machine, why do we also have an on fire thing? Well, I'm trying to see if there's any reason to have both. It originates from the tents, probably, which don't have states. They don't have state machines. And those were the first things that could be set on fire, I believe. Is that right? I don't know. Actually, can't remember. Well, some things don't have state machines, and I suppose it would get confusing if different objects are handled differently. I can just set anything flammable can be set on fire by setting on fire to true, which I suppose simplifies things. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I was wondering about this for a second. Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, or is there something in here? Because I swear that's been working. Well, I don't really know if I tested it, actually. There's nothing in here. Well, it may be... no, we don't... oh, unless it's in one of those. No, I don't think so. Okay, so if I'm not mistaken, the humans would not have been added back to the global fires list after loading a save. So nobody would be able to extinguish them. No, essentially nobody would be aware that they are on fire. I guess I probably just never tested that. I didn't think of that edge case. I remembered to do it for the tents, not the humans. Okay, so perhaps that would be another thing. That would be like the next thing is to... We need like an... what would we call it? Fires function or something? Just fire? You could call it just fire? I don't know. I think we can get away with that. Just call it fire, and you would pass in the instance, and it would check, like, is this instance a tent, or a store, or a creche, or a human, or an animal, or a tree, or... No, actually, no, not those ones. No, it would only be the ones that the humans will attempt to extinguish, not just anything that can be on fire. We're saving and loading whether it's on fire or not simply by saving and loading that one variable. This is for re-adding it to the list to be extinguished by the water bearers, who are like essentially firefighters. So it would just be tents and humans. Tent, store, creche, human. If it's any one of those objects, then we would add it back to the list. So yeah, this is going to be a pretty massive amount of work, but... And then we're talking about animal states. Well, we should just have like the state. No, we can't call it state because we have a variable called state. We can call it the... load state function? My naming seems very inconsistent here. Shouldn't they... Jesus Christ, dude. These fucking seagulls. Shouldn't they all begin with the word load? Where even am I? Should it be like... Okay, we got load talent, load spellbook icons. That's not really what it's doing, though. That's not... I just feel like the naming convention, you know, makes them all easier to find and identify and stuff. And then load states. I'm gonna get something to drink. Just joined the Discord, heading out, looking forward to following my progress. Thanks, dude. Appreciate that. Take it easy. Hey, Kurafox, how's it going? Oh, okay. And then this one. Oh my god. Good, good. This one has to contain another function for every creature type, every species of animal, including humans. So then we would have like load human states. Load boars? We don't even have boars. I'm trying to say bears. Bear states. These seagulls. I don't know if they are like nesting above my window or if they're just hanging out there. I checked earlier today actually because I don't want them to be building a nest there. Do seagulls build nests? I kind of just assumed they did. I don't know. Load fox states. Load wolf states. Load deer states. Load rabbit states. And you can see the problem with this is that every time I add a new creature to the game, I need to add a new one of these. But it is what it is. And okay, back to the grind. What's next? Where did we get up to? We got up to like the first animal or something, I guess, because we hit the first bunch of states. Yeah. On harvest. You gotta be kidding me. On harvest is a thing? I guess so. And what is this one? Is this... Foxes are not harvestable. Interesting. So the on harvest... Oh my god. Sure. Okay. So we'll have a... Load harvest. It's not that the foxes would be unharvestable, it's that the humans don't hunt foxes. Bears. They do, okay. They do have it. I was concerned. Deer. The deer must have it. The rabbits must have it. Okay. What's gonna be next? What is that? Oh my god, the trees have states. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, the trees have states. Tree states. You know, I think the campfire even has states. How do we handle that now? What happens if I save and load whilst holding the campfire? What if I save whilst holding the campfire? Wow, we're not even like set up to deal with that. What would actually happen? I don't know. Yeah, because originally it was only the creatures that had states. And then at a certain point, I started using states for other things like the trees and the campfire, the drums, I think, as well. Basically because they go into a held state when you're holding them. And the trees have a falling state when they get chopped down as well. If I'm holding this campfire when I save the game, what happens when I load the game? It crashes. No, that's not because of that. That's because of this ridiculous stuff, of course. I'm trying to like run this stuff. That's not even real code. Where's this go to? What is that? Okay, so just don't do any of this stuff. Okay. Saving the game whilst holding a campfire. And loading the game. It still crashes. Why? Why? I can't right now. I'm right in the middle of something very important. But please feel free to share it to me on Discord, or even share it in my Discord if you want other people to see it as well. But I can't do it right now. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, this is very, very important that we get this done. I don't know why we can't save right now at line 186. I commented out this line as well. That's the one that we actually need. Okay. My bedtime has just been getting later and later. I'm embracing it though. I'm definitely a night owl. I get more energy in the evening. Okay. Okay, so I'm holding this campfire. I'm going to save. Oh. Oh, does it just make me drop it before it saves? I might actually force you to drop. Oh yeah, I was doing this recently and I can't remember, like, I think I basically just forced. Whoa, what the hell was that? You see that? It just turned red. Okay then. Oh my god, am I still... What's my... I don't know what's going on there. What happens if I save and load whilst holding a human? That... Okay, oh, okay, so... I do allow you to save and load whilst holding something. I'm remembering now, because I thought, like, oh, that makes the most sense. If you save whilst holding something and then you load, you should still be holding it. It's just that we're not saving and loading the campfire's state, so it's switching back to the default state instead of loading back into the held state, so we're not getting the correct behavior. But also, even though the campfire is not correct, it's like the cursor or whatever still thinks it's holding the campfire. So if I try and like move the cursor too close to a tree or something, then the campfire turns red, because that's the indicator that you can't place it there, right? If I save again whilst holding this campfire and then load and then move my cursor near a human or near a tree, it's like, oh, you can't place that campfire here, but oh, that's crazy. And it still does some stuff, like when I do release left mouse or press escape to drop what I'm holding, it is still running some code on the campfire. That's why it kind of like snapped to the grid there. That is pretty crazy. So this just needs to go on the to-do list. And I'm probably... I'm probably not saving and loading the drum either, so we'd have the same issue with the drums. Those are the only two things that you can hold aside from the creatures and the humans, and that's all set up correctly. So we need to... and the trees, and that's fine as well. We need to add this to the to-do list. Save and load drum / campfire states. Save / load campfire / drum states. Okay, well, this is the joy of refactoring code, is that you find all of this stuff. I would have never known if I wasn't, you know, going through all of this code again. Let's crash. So I don't know where we were up to. Getting real hungry. I'm gonna have to go get something to eat after I've done this. Felling. Felling. Indeed. Oh, we're almost there. We're on to the humans, who we already know we need to save and load their state. And there's probably some other stuff as well. Oh my god. Yeah, there is load Twitch, or whatever we want to call it. Maybe just call it load Twitch. And there is load gift maps, I'll call it. And that's it. So Twitch. Oh, there's the worshippers list. Available worshipper equals true. Okay, load available worshippers. Twitch available worshippers gift maps. Load Twitch. Load available worshippers. Load. What was the last one? Gift maps? Gift maps. That is everything. So we have to convert all of those into functions, which will all live inside of the unique load handling function, which could probably do with a different name, like just load handling even. Load. Definitely don't want to call it the load stuff script. That's, even though that's seems like the most. Okay, the load code script is the thing that contains all of the load. Well, that's not even true, actually. There's some load code that exists outside of it. It contains the bulk of it. And then this is load instance. It's like it's like load instance or something. Load instance specific something. Just load instance for short is probably fine. Okay, so we have a plan. We've even written out the first bit. It's just like literally these 6 lines, which is kind of amazing that you can go from this to 6 lines of code. If I didn't have these additional weird things that need handling for, and this possibly I should talk to Brewer about it, because there might be a way to like avoid doing some, if not all, of this stuff as well. You never know. But basically the reason that I'm doing any of this is because I want to compile with YYC, which converts the project into C++, which increases performance. It improves performance massively, or so I'm told. We're not going to know until I do it, but I have it. I'm going on good faith. What am I trying to say? I've been assured that this will improve performance drastically. So we need that. Like, I can't release the game without compiling it on YYC with YYC. But I could get into the point here. The compiler, the YYC compiler, has a 128 statement limit, or I don't know if that's the word. It has some kind of a limit where I can only do like 128 ifs, withs, fors, anything, statements. I can only do 128 statements per function, per block, per something. So it all needs to be broken down. No one function can contain more than 28 if statements, for example. And so as you can see, we're screwed. We are so fucked. because look at all my functions. They each contain about 1 billion if statements. So we can't compile with YYC until I fix this. So we're just getting this one out of the way first, but then I'm going to not be able to compile because this one, every single one of these needs to be broken down into its own function. And even then, we might be pushing it. There's a lot of if statements just in this one. But we'll be okay. We won't hit 128. We can't hit 128 for any single function. Oh, this is the sort of stuff that would have been good to know at the beginning, right? But this is, we live and learn. We live and learn. And I just got to deal with it. I'll know for next time, but I'll never use this engine again. Okay, maybe I will. I'm probably, because the next game's probably going to be 3D, but why am I talking about the next game? We've got years left to go on this one. Anyway, so we have a good plan. We know what we're going. We know where we're going from here. But I am done for today. I'll be back tomorrow. Let's find somebody to raid. What the hell is going on? I'm losing control of the Computron. Let's see. Shamblernaut is mapping, is making a Quake map. Wow. I don't think I've seen this guy streaming in years, and he's making a Quake map suddenly. So we'll raid Shamblernaut, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. Take it easy. Oh, wait, we don't have any viewers. We can't raid. Cancelling the raid. We don't have any viewers. Ads are in progress as well. What a nightmare. It's a nightmare. I'm waiting for the ads. I'm waiting for the ads to be over. Okay, yeah. I thought we had enough viewers to raid, but then everybody left, probably because the ads started. And everyone hates ads. Alright, well, maybe next time. Thanks for watching. Take it easy. I'll be back.